All right, guys, this is one of my, I guess, many tries of trying to figure out what content I want on the second channel. And now I'm just going to talk about the Last of Us TV show. And we might come back for Last of Us Part 2 because I feel like me and Kendall's opinions on the game has changed a lot as the years gone by. Like, it's actually crazy that Last of Us Part 2 came out in 2020. And now we are watching the Last of Us TV show and it's actually finished. So, Kendall, as a quick just a quick update, man. Like, how do you feel about the show overall?
Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's your boy Kendall here. Got him a brand new microphone, but I really like the show. It added a lot of stuff that we didn't get in the games, a lot of world building that wasn't there before. And I just overall really enjoyed it. I feel like all the actors played their parts really ridiculously well. Like, I don't have any real complaints about the series other than like it just felt. I don't want to say that it was too short because it was well paced, but I kind of want more. I just kind of want more.
I would say this, right? So I think we're gonna structure it like this. Like, we're gonna talk about our initial like fears of the show. Then we're gonna talk about the negatives, like what was the weakest episode. Then we're gonna talk about our five, or we're just gonna rank the episodes between worst to best. Which again, it's like all these episodes are great. I think we all agree there's not one bad episode this season, but And I guess we're going to talk about like our favorite performers and things like that. So we're going to figure out. So what did I say first? I think I said what was our fears going in, right?
Yeah. So you want to go first, or you want I?
I think I want you to go first.
All right. So a couple of fears I had first going into the show was one. How well were they just going to do like a carbon copy of like the games? Like if they were just going to like pretty much reiterate the cutscenes word for word, bar for bar. And I kind of didn't want that. I wanted it to be like its own thing while still remaining faithful to the games, if that makes sense. And I think that they did a real good job with that. And I guess some of my other fears were that we weren't going to see like the infected like properly done. And I say overall, like throughout the entire series, I wish that we saw more of the infected, but the times that we did get them, I think that was satisfactory. So
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I think for me, I think Kendall knows this more than anyone, is that I was kind of drained from the backlash of Last of Us Part 2. Like, I think I was just like, yo, listen, I am just so tired of debating one of my favorite franchises of all time. And I just didn't want to deal with it. It's like, I haven't gotten to that point with Star Wars because, like, I wasn't really, I'm a Star Wars fan, don't get me wrong, but I'm not like a diehard, like, I don't know, like that, I don't like, Star Wars is a shaped part of my life, but something about Last of Us 1 was like, probably my favorite video game of all time, especially came on the PS3. Like, PS3 was like, kind of like the growing spot of my gamer life, and I even played it on stream. I played that game multiple times, and just Last of Us 1 was a really big deal to me. I was so excited for Last of Us Part 2, and I guess if we go into Last of Us Part 2, like I guess like review again, like after years, just Last of Us Part 2 was a big thing for me. It went from a 7 out of 10 because I was so emotional about it to like just growing on me to being like a 10 out of 10 now. But just dealing with just so much dialogue over it, I was like, I don't even want to deal with this again. So I was like, I don't know if I want to watch the show. And for some reason, I just didn't really believe in Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey at first. Like, I know Pedro's an amazing actor, but like, I think, is Pedro Hispanic? I think going by his name, he is. And Bella Ramsey, she just didn't really look like the actress that Ellie was based off. I knew she was a great actress. It's like, it's just one of those situations where I just kind of came in with a lot of hesitant energy. But when I first saw that trailer and just seeing how well Pedro's able to match Troy Baker, like, it's not a perfect match, but it's damn near close. And just not even really worried about him not being like, a Texas white man or whatever. Like, he killed it amazingly. And Bella Ramsey, like, despite not looking one for one, like, her acting on certain levels, like, this is the closest you're gonna get, right? Of course, you're gonna have those people complaining about race or this or that, but like, overall, like, they really killed it as the main two leads of this. And like, I guess we can go into this next. It's like the casting choices they done for this was pretty incredible. From the casting of Sarah, like I know they went for like, a mixed girl with curly hair and implying that Joel, was with a black woman before the outbreak, but they did a great job with her. They picked the perfect person for Riley. Like that's a person I'm more like Storm Reed is the go-to for like young black girl right now. The same with like the go-to for like Zendaya is like lead black role in most of these acts. And of course, like I didn't even know Marlene was played by the voice actress in the game, which is incredible. We didn't get too much Maria, but I love me Rutina Wesley. I probably murdered her name there, but like she's always loved her since True Blood. And of course, Nick Offerman, like he was the perfect Bill. Like granted, he probably would have been more perfect for like the Bill in the video game. He was kind of like Bill in the video game for a little bit. Anna Torv for Tess. I think she did a great job. She didn't get too much because some of these characters didn't get to last too long. But like again, I think she did a great job as well. And hell, even who they chose for Frank, Murray Bartlett. I don't know too much of his roles, but yeah, he did an amazing job. And let's just talk to the kid actor for Will, Kelvin Woodard, who played Sam, a kid who's deaf, and the fact that they changed the role for him. Did a great job, and especially Lamar Johnson, who played Henry. Of course, he didn't play like the badass Henry from the video game, but more of like a kind of like a leader, or at least trying to be a leader for his brother, but not really like a murderer like that. But yeah, I feel like they just had a really great cast this season, and even from the voice actors like Troy Baker, Ashley Johnson, they did a great job for what they wanted, especially Ashley Johnson playing Bella's mother.
Mm-hmm. So. What were some of the things that you like best, or like just like moments, not even necessarily like ranking episodes, but what were like some of like your favorite moments of the series?
I guess that like surpassed the game.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Then we could say some things that the game did better. I really loved how they added more context to Joel's fears, and they made him a little bit more human. Because I feel like when he went murder mode, it was more impactful. And I do agree with you that I feel like there should have been more infected, because later on, I think after like, I don't know, like maybe after, well, of course, after Sam's death, and I think, well, actually after that flashback, we just don't really get that much infected. Like in the last 2 episodes, I don't think there was no infected at all, really. But
there was one in the beginning.
Oh, right, with Ella's mother. I mean, Ellie's mother, right?
Yep.
But
fun fact, was played by Ellie in the actual games.
Yep. It's funny how they gave Ashley Johnson more of a heroic role, while they gave Troy Baker like he's a cannibal, but he's a conflicted cannibal. But
yeah. Look, can I just say, look, like, I know that people like change their hair and stuff, but when I saw that Ashley Johnson was like blonde right now, it threw me off so much because I'm so used to Ellie being redhead. I was like, wait, what the fuck? Why?
I'm probably gonna put a SpongeBob censor or something. I'm adding onto my my sound effects.
I was like hella confused. Like,
well, I knew it was her because like her mannerisms and the voice she chose. Cause I don't know, because I heard her a couple times. She doesn't sound like Ellie all the time, but I think they told her to sound like Ellie from the video games, because like the entire grunt, all of it sound just like Ellie.
Yep.
What was I
remember I told you that she was gonna be playing, but I guessed the wrong episode.
Yeah. They were saving the 2 biggest voice actors of the series for the last 2 episodes, which is the biggest ones. But yeah, the things that the game did, the show did better. Oh right, so what I was saying earlier was well, I'm gonna have to just, I guess, restart. I guess
you were talking about Joel.
Oh yeah. So I'm glad that they made him more humanoid. Of course, I wanted more Joel, like, just doing badass stuff. But Pedro Pascal already stated that he was just having trouble with his knees and he's getting older, so he just wasn't able to do as much action sequences as we wanted. And it's kind of funny because in the Last of Us game, we rely on like the hearing thing so we can like see where our enemies are. And Joel in the show has bad hearing because he almost shot himself. But just the actual lore of like, especially that last episode when Joel's telling Ellie that he almost killed himself when Sarah died, and I felt like that was something that was implied in the video game, but that was something that I wanted to hear. Granted, some people feel like it was a little bit more ham-fisted and it wasn't as subtle as in the video game, but I think some of those are just Joel saying that Ellie changed him, because I played the game multiple times. I played it as a kid in 2013. I played it again with the first remaster. I did not play part 1 remaster. I didn't spend $70, but I saw playthroughs of it in the remastered version as well. But yeah, it's just, I think they did a great job in the video game of their natural building up, and you had more time with them. But I kind of like the more like in your face, like, hey, listen, like, you actually healed me more than just time healed me. I think it was a great change to kind of, I'm kind of glad that they gave Bill an alternate universe ending, really. Like, of course, people want the Bill who's always mad at the world, and he's like, you know, he has these funny moments with Ellie, but like, just kind of having Bill have a happier ending with Frank, and actually seeing him grow as a character, and just seeing him like feel happy, because just seeing Bill just so mad that Frank betrayed him, or Frank just didn't want to live with him anymore, and we don't even know what happens to Bill after Last of Us Part 1. We didn't hear about him in Last of Us Part 2. It's just like, I felt like it was kind of a nice ending there. Granted, as a straight man, no matter how progressive I am, it was a little bit hard for some seats, but I think it was a very beautiful episode, like, all jokes aside though. I think it was really well paced. And what else did I think they did better? Because it's really hard to beat the game, I'm not gonna lie. But
hold on. I got a couple things before you steal my point. You know, it looked like
go ahead.
But I got a couple things. So one thing was the world building in like the first 3 episodes.
Yeah,
like
the
right
intros.
Before the episode. Yeah, the intros. Those things were so sick.
Yeah.
When I tell you, like, those were the things that got me like hooked onto the show. Like the beginning when they were doing the interview, talking about, you know, what would happen if these fungi just evolved to just be able to survive 2 more temperatures higher? We'd all be doomed. We'd all be screwed.
Like, it really shows you like how, because like, and we both played the game. Like, when you first played the game, you just kind of think it's just zombies. You didn't really pay attention to the notes or really listen to so you just like, okay, we got zombies, and that's how you looked at it, right? Mm-hmm. So like, hearing those intros, you realize how much worse this universe is than, like, I don't know, what's the Resident Evil Walking Dead, where in those universes were like, if they create a cure, it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like a fantastical like way of like how that happens. But when you realize the science of why these infected is so hopeless, it's like, wow, like, you can't do anything about it. The fact they even changed it to like, they're just like walking like plants pretty much.
Shout out to MatPat over here talking about how the cordyceps came out from the bread farm, from the flour, and then they actually confirmed it in the actual episode. So shout out to MatPat, you know. And then the second episode was the real like kicker, when they called in like the specialist, and she was like, "There is no cure. You know what you do? You bomb this city." Yeah.
Added a lot more.
This whole country.
Added a lot more context to the game, because, you know, we're walking through all those cool levels, but we hear some dialogue, but we don't really get the full picture of why the background is the way it is, and that's some really good lore building there.
Mm-hmm. Feels like, can you take me home? I want to be with my family for my last few moments alive, and nothing of it even mattered, because the bread, all the flour and everything got shipped out immediately.
Yep.
And just infected the entire world from anybody who ate a dang biscuit in the morning.
Also, go ahead.
Can we talk about that first episode and like the grandma in the wheelchair?
Yeah. Like, that's the thing that I forgot to mention, is that that intro part before we got to like the video games intro was extremely well done, and like, it felt like, I'm not gonna lie, it felt a lot like what is Sam Raimi's big thing? It's Evil Dead, right? It felt very Evil Dead with that grandma, and how that dog was looking. It had very strong Sam Raimi vibes. Like, that was actually really good choice in how they did that. Mm-hmm. What else did they did that I really liked? That I liked more than the game. It's really tough, because like, some of it's just like slight changes, but they're on an equal level.
Mm-hmm. We talked about Bill already.
Okay. I like that when we got to Tommy, I like that Tommy has a kid on the way, and it makes a little bit more sense why he's a little bit more like, I don't want to go. Because in the game, like, he doesn't have a kid, and he just doesn't really trust like Joel because of all the evil stuff they did, right? Like I feel like that's a little bit of a better choice. Like, okay, there's a reason why. Of course, there's a reason before, but I feel like that's a little bit of a better reason that he's gonna be a dad soon.
Yep. He was like, come on, man. Like, when he hit Joel with that, look like just because Joel life stopped,
yeah,
doesn't mean.
That speech Joel gave when he was talking about I'm weak and everything. Of course, video game Joel looked like he can do. He looked like he just a few years away from jumping like Nathan Drake, but like live action Joel, like you could tell that like. But granted, he became John Wick in that last episode. I'm not gonna lie. Well, that last episode. Actually, the last episode.
Yeah, he had to channel the power of family, aka Vin Diesel, in order to get that Fast and Furious power up,
I would say the weakest plot, again, it's not even a bad plot, because some people try to make it seem like it's a bad plot, was the Kathleen plot, where she was trying to avenge her brother that got murdered because they made Henry a snitch instead of just being someone who got caught in the crossfire. Like, I think those scenes was pretty good. But I just think she was just the weakest link. And it's a strong link, but she was the weakest one out of the changes they made. And again, like everything was like on par. Like I would say one of the standout acting from Bella. Oh, of course, we can't forget David. I think they did a fantastic job hiding David's evil tree. Like the fact that they made him a little bit more reasonable, because David in the video game, we gotta trust him a little bit because we're like killing zombies together with him, but he always had like a villain ass laugh or villain ass like voice or like a little bit of a villagery look to him. But the actor who portrayed David, he did a really great job. Yep. And they made some confirmations. I really love how this show confirms certain little details. Like, of course, we all assumed that Joel would have probably thought about taking himself out, or it also confirmed that Joel and Tess was romantically involved. It confirmed the theory that Ellie is immune because her mother was bitten while she was pregnant. That they confirmed that theory. And again, unfortunately, but I guess it's for a very long time because it was very left to interpretation what David really wanted to do to Ellie, and we can't really say it because of YouTube guidelines. But it's like I knew there's a lot more that them just wanting to like be her dad or whatever. Like it gave very weird preacher vibes, aka he wanted to take advantage of vibes, because there was some groundworks, him saying that Ellie is David's new pet and different things like that. But for them to confirm it and just show that he's not only just a monster, like this nigga is damn near a demon. And yeah, I think they did a really great job with David. In some ways better than the original David.
I was waiting so long for this episode. Even TJ and I had this conversation before where I was like, man, I can't wait till we get to the cannibal section of it. And TJ wouldn't say, look like, man, they're not going to go that wild. I'll look like, bro, that's got to be the scene where if they go in, they got to go in. And they did not disappoint. Just seeing Ellie just doing like the constant stabs again.
Oh yeah. I would say this in terms of like my apprehension to the show, because after I watched the first couple episodes, I was like, okay, Joel's not really going that crazy. There's not that many bosses or like different things. Like I was like, okay, well, once we get to Henry and Sam, because they changed Bill and Frank's ending. Of course, I wasn't that like blissful about it. I was like, oh, they might soften the blow with Henry and Sam, or they might soften the David. So I don't know. It's like they might soften like Joel's murder spree, but no, like it's like they increased the violence and how dark the world was gradually instead of the game just kind of throwing it in your face. But granted, when I played it, I didn't really get the grander scheme of things. Because, being a black man in America, unfortunately, you're kind of used to like black characters going out in the most ethnic way possible. Like, of course, it's like now that I'm older, I realize how dark that story was. That's why I'm kind of surprised people are so shocked how dark Last of Us Part 2 was. Because like Last of Us Part 1 was very dark. We're just happy that Joel and Ellie made it. But like Last of Us Part 1 was very dark. Henry and Sam's story is like one of the saddest stories in fiction. Or legit, David is one of the darkest villains in video game history. Just how I would say for me, one of the biggest standouts when I first played Last of Us Part 1, or just Last of Us 1 on the PS3, was that we got to play Ellie. And we played Ellie for a good while too. And you just feel the amount of like helplessness, because you're no longer Joel, this walking tank of like a man who could take on anyone. You're playing Ellie where her life bar is low. You're using a bow. You only got like one little rifle that takes a while to reload. and you're just like afraid. And like, of course, they didn't have those scenes where you're like running around as Ellie, killing people, and you're like hiding and stuff. Because that, I still remember that level to this day, and how hard it was to take down David. Because David was scary, man. You had to stab this man like 3 times, and every time you stabbed him, he got faster and quicker, and he was making more sounds like he was turning. It was scary. So it's like, I wanted to see that scene, and of course it wasn't as long because, like, come on, like, you're just not gonna stab somebody, he gonna come back stronger. Like, you gonna stab him in the neck, you gonna pull out a machete. But yeah, I think they did a really great job with all that, man. Like, it really was a good filler of, like, because throughout all this, right, and also they did a fantastic job foreshadowing Joel's choice, like, from the little details about, like, Tess saying, like, you know, I don't, like, you know, kind of pretty much saying there's situationships as they was dating at the time, or like people talking like, well, what would you do if you was in that situation? Like, I can't remember all of it throughout, but I just remember I kept on taking mental notes, or him talking to Henry and talking about, like, I don't know what I would do in your situation. Like, maybe that was already in Last of Us 1, it's just been a while. I feel like the show just made sure to remind you, like, yo, this is going to be coming, and like, Joel's going to have to make a hard decision. Also, the thing I forgot to say, I'm glad that when we met up with Tommy, they chose The Last of Us Part 2 / you was actually in the city. Because I kind of forgot, like, why was he in, like, only in that little small area? And in Last of Us Part 2, we was finally in the actual, like, what is the place called? Jackson? Yeah, Jackson. We was actually in Jackson in the show. So just only being in, like, the little water mill thing. And I'm glad that they changed that. And we was actually in there. We got a little bit of little hints at, like, and you called her the pregnant lady, which was wild.
Dina.
Yeah, Dina. Yeah, I'm glad we get a little bit of hints of Dina in there as well. So, just gotta bring it back to me that, you know, Last of Us Part 2 is very important to them and things like that. But yeah, man. I think the things that I think the game did better. You want to go first? I've been talking for a while.
Yeah. So, well, one thing that you're not going to get in the show is literally just the game being a game. So we missed a lot of, like, segments that are, like, you know, game specific. Like, you know, one thing that I was kind of, like, sad in the show is that we didn't get to see, like, the Ellie taking off and, like, Tommy and Joel were, like, running after her and, like, following her into, like, the mill, trying to, like, save her from, like, all the clickers and everything. So it's just, like, certain things like that I feel like the game does better. Just because
funny, like, enough you say that. Sorry to interrupt, but funny enough you say that. I actually kind of liked it that they skipped that, because I kind of felt like that was kind of like random game filler.
It just kind of, like, I get that point of view, but it just kind of felt like it just got, like, resolved too fast. Like, the whole purpose of, like, that whole, like, game filler was for Joel to realize, like, how important Ellie was to him. It just kind of felt like he just went from, no, I can't do this, to, you know what, I'm gonna give you a choice, and she was just like, all right, let's go.
Well,
like,
funny enough,
right,
though, funny enough, you go back and watch him talking to Ellie in that house. He decides it a lot sooner than the show. In the show, he sleeps on it. In the game, they run out, they talk in the house, and then they're about to ride out, and Joel says, "I'll take her." It's actually faster than the game. And you got any more to say? Sorry, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while since I played like The Last of Us Part 1, so I don't remember, like, all of, like, the super minute details and stuff like that. Some other things I feel like the game did better, like, in general, I feel like the way that Tess went out.
Yeah, I agree.
In the game was a little bit better. Granted, I still like the TV show's version. I don't think that there was anything wrong with it, but it did kind of feel like, I don't know.
Like, for me, it's weird because, like, it makes more sense in the show, because, like, why would just random Fedra soldiers show up after they killed the Fireflies instead of, like, the infected? Also, that's the thing too. Like, it's tough because I miss them putting on their mask, and of course, like, how Ellie kills some people in Last of Us Part 2 is because the spores is out. While they had to get rid of that because it wouldn't really make sense. If the spores was airborne in the real world, then everyone would just be dead except Ellie. Yeah. But yeah, I kind of like that change. I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of the kiss thing. I kind of get the artistic view of it, but I just kind of liked it better that she kind of went out guns blazing a little bit. I guess to kind of give you some ideas of, like, the certain things I like more in the game. It's like, even though I love that they gave the kid actor who was deaf, like, a nice role and, like, you know, had a little bit more little bit more chemistry with Henry and Sam. I kind of do like the dynamic of Sam talking more in the video game. I like Sam talking more to Ellie, but I also like it more that Ellie tried to cure Sam and it failed. I think that was a great work for her character. Also, Bella Ramsey's voice when when Henry takes himself out, when she goes, or I can't really match her, but the sound effect when she did that was fantastic. Like, even though we didn't get to really see the headshot like the game, her voice acting with that was incredible. And it's an artistic choice, but with the whole Ellie and Riley flashback, I like the extra details in there. And I think Storm Reed acted her ass off, but the one thing that I like too is that when we got the one affected, that was the one affected that mattered, because it's kind of hard to imagine these two kids running and Ellie hasn't even really trained with Joel or anything, but they're like kind of surviving all those zombies and finally get bitten. But the thing that I like too is that they got to play Mortal Kombat, but at the same time, I thought it was a really good artistic choice in the game where she's imagining playing the game. I feel like that was like perfect for the game where she's imagining it, but I think that'd be kind of weird to do in the show.
Yeah. The one thing that I think it's still kind of weird to me, like in the show, like that whole scene, like with the one infected, right? Like, I get it, but I'm just sitting here looking at Riley, look like, your aim is trash. If you don't put both hands on that gun,
I would say none of them are Joel. You know what I mean? Like they're still. Well, also remember Joel made jokes talking about who taught you how to shoot Fedra, so that was probably how they taught him.
Which is wild. Like, nobody like in this federal government.
Well, she was taught a little bit about the Fireflies, but she didn't have that much time.
It's just so wild to me. Like, I get it. Like, I understand she's a kid. She doesn't have like, you know, the proper training and everything.
Oh, and speaking of training, which one do you like more? Video game Henry or TV show Henry? Because a lot of people felt like TV show Henry was like pretty much dumb. Because remember when it was on the shootout and this dude was trying to run and open gunfire? Of course, because he's a teenager, he's never killed no one. But you kind of prefer like a little bit more vetted Henry.
Man, Henry, we just not gonna talk about. Like, in the show, they literally made like Henry out to just be like, you know, like you said, just like the snitch, the person that just does whatever, like tries to get the people who are actually strong to really do the dirty work. I mean, that was the whole thing where he's like, oh, Joel, like I need you because, you know, I ain't no good with a gun, but you came all the way here with just this girl.
Well, it did make it very impactful. Well, it did make it very impactful when he had to eventually kill Sam, though. Like, it's weird. It's like it's two different versions of the character that I think are equally valid, because I really do like Sam's story of how he had to give up someone who was damn near a perfect guy, and Kathleen is kind of like his I guess like vengeance of it. It's kind of like a foreshadowing what's going to happen in part 2 a little bit of like killing someone and you're going to have to deal with the consequences of your actions.
Foreshadowing. Druckmann's a genius.
Of course, you know, he's not the creator of that, but I really like the execution a little bit and just kind of showing how characters change. Oh yeah, also I think I like the torture scene a lot more in the game. I think Pedro did a really great job. He really took it to the next level in the final episode, but like it's really hard to be Troy Baker, man. And that scene, man, the way he was like, or of course the animators, let's not forget the animators, but like the way it's like Pedro gives off like murderer who ain't playing no games, and Troy Baker gives off like a man who's so comfortable killing that he got jokes. Cause like remember when he said, oh, don't worry, I believe him. When you hear in the game, it's just like he's like low-key cracking a joke. Well, of course, Pedro, he does like a slight smile when he's torturing, but it's like he gives off like, you know, serious badass protagonist who's here to do the job. But like, just Troy Baker had a little bit of that swag with him when he's playing Joel. Again, it's hard because voice actors is really good at their job.
Yeah. So it is one of those things where, you know, that's what I like about the show, because it's not like a one-to-one, you know, feeling with like the games. Each character are playing this same character, but they're doing like their own take on the character. Like I said,
Well, I
like
feel like they're making adjustments to add to the actors' strengths instead of trying to force the actors to do something that the video game had that wasn't their strengths. And I think that's something that's a really great job because, of course, we talked about it. Pedro's at a place in his career where he's not that much of a physical actor. Like I just noticed in The Mandalorian, he really doesn't do that much. Like he be talking in the mask and stuff, but he ain't out there like bending his knees, doing a bunch of crazy stuff. He's like, you know, he's a Mandalorian who relies on his like jetpack or whatever, stuff like that. So it's like they're going to also like Bella Ramsey. It's like Belly Ramsey. She kind of cracks her voice a lot, but it works in the way that they're giving it. Again, her when she's going at David is really close to Ashley Johnson's like Ellie, right? I think the only thing that's going to be hard for me to kind of realize because Bella Ramsey, I think she's like, if I had to let me look at her age real quick, she is
she's like 20.
No, she's 19. She's 19.
19. Oh wow.
So it's like in the jump from Last of Us 1 to Last of Us 2, like Ellie ages up. So it's like it's gonna be kind of hard for me to kind of imagine her playing Ellie in part 2 into the levels they get. But I think she can probably pull it off.
She did state in one of like the interviews that she wears like a strap down for her chest while she's playing Ellie. So that's one thing.
Yeah, to kind of match the games.
Yeah, so so that's one thing, and also, you know, makeup is a hell of a drug, you know.
Well, I think all they got to do is just kind of change her hairstyle to make her a little bit older, like kind of do some more. And also, Ellie is a lot more like battle hardened, like she got a little bit more scars. Of course, we already know the scar on her eyebrow, but like I think she can pull it off. I think she already proved her acting chops in Game of Thrones, and I think she definitely proved it here. Like this is her standout role so far. But yeah, I think we're going on for a while, man. But like, okay, just tell me this. What was your, I guess, either you tell me your favorite episode or what was your top 3 episodes of this season? And of course, I think we're all going to pick probably the same 3. So maybe 5. Let's just go 5. Like, what was your 5 in order?
All right. Let's see. So this is going to be a tough one. So if I had to like rate them like in order, right? I would say it would be the episode 1 would be my number 1.
Okay.
Reason being because it just set a lot of like different tones for everything. Like it set up the story. It did a good job of hooking me in. It did a good job of hooking a lot of people who haven't seen the show in. That's technically 2 episodes in one, but we're just going to count it.
Yeah.
My second favorite episode would be episode 3.
Okay.
Yep. So might be a little contradictory.
Who gives it? I don't listen. If you don't like it because it changed from the game, I respect you. But if you're on that weird stuff, we don't care. So yeah, go ahead.
Episode 3 was just really great. I love Bill. I love Frank. I love their dynamic. I love how they talked and got with like Tess and Joel and like.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yes. Like it was just so much nuance in that episode and so much extra lore that they put in there that they didn't even need to put.
Well, funny enough, like more than any episode, that made me believe in this show because like I didn't. Of course, the episode was really good before them. It's like the fact that they took so many risks and changes and actually made it better or just equally on the same level as the game by going a whole different direction. Like you know what? I actually care about this show because it's giving me something to watch that's not just watching the playthrough online.
Yep. My third favorite episode would be episode 8, which is the episode with Ellie and David.
Yeah.
The penultimate episode, because that was the episode that I was looking forward to the most, and it did not disappoint.
Yeah.
Enough said on that one. I want to say number 4 will be episode 5. I think that's the Henry death episode.
Okay.
Just because like they needed to hit those beats, and Henry No gets me every single time that I hear it, and the show was no different.
Yeah, and like, but man, like I said before, Ellie's reaction, like with Bella Ramsey's like voice when she did that, like that hit harder in the game. Like her sound effect when people die is. Like I like it. I don't know. Like she really kills it when she does that.
Yep. And my last favorite episode would be episode 7, which is the Ellie and Riley flashback episode.
So is that your favorite or?
That's my top. No, my first favorite is episode 1.
Okay. You went through 1 through 5, right?
Yeah,
Okay. So
yeah. So
I'm
number
gonna.
one was okay. Go
Well,
ahead.
no, you go ahead. You go ahead. You tell me. Tell
Okay.
me again.
Yeah, so number five would be episode seven.
Uh huh.
Number four would be episode five.
Uh huh.
Number three is episode eight. Number two is episode three, and number one is episode one plus two.
Okay. So for me, this is really tough, right? So
Mhm.
I would just say kind of straight off, I think the weakest episode of the season was episode 4. It's not a bad episode, but it's kind of like an in-between episode because every episode kind of had big highlights. Like episode 1 had all the like, the beginning where you had Sarah's passing or like where she was murdered or whatever. Then you have the infected where of course, that's when Tess gets her way out, dies. And then you have episode 3, which is just the Bill and Frank episode. In episode 5 is Sam's death. In episode 6 is meeting Tommy, Joel's speech, his speech towards Ellie. Episode 7 is definitely, I gotta go back to the cast to remember everyone's names, Riley's death. Episode 8 is David, episode 9. But I just feel like out of all those episodes, episode 4 is just kind of like the in-between one. So that's the weakest. But I guess for like top 5, it's very tough. I am not gonna lie.
It really is.
I would say, I think maybe number 5. Damn, I might go left. I might go Left Behind. I love Left Behind. I love that we got more information on like where Ellie grew up at. So I think that deserves like number 5. Number 4. Number 4. I would probably have to go with. Damn, okay. Let me straighten up. Okay, number 4, I have to go with Long Time, which is on the Bill and Frank episode. It really made me want to like really check out the series more often because like, okay, they're taking risks. I don't know what else. I don't know what other changes they're going to make. So I think that's like my number 4. Number 3, I would say number 3, probably episode 1. I feel like it's really hard to beat Sarah's passing and just that like Evil Dead ass grandma scene was incredible. I think that's something that has to be talked about. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna have to cheat because I forgot about this episode. So okay, the top 3 for me is going to be episode 5, episode 8, and episode 9. They're just too impactful for me to miss out on. And I also forgot to mention, I liked how Joel saved, or he consulted Ellie in the video game more. I liked it that he was in a burning fire. Granted, I feel like that would be hard to record, or maybe they could just done green screen, but I kind of like that effect more in the video game. Like, I think it was good in the show because she got to like finish him off and walk out, but I like it more in the game, and especially how he says baby girl more in there. But I would say, God, which is more impactful, Sam's death or David? Like, you know what? I guess it's for this. I'm going to say episode 8 is my quote unquote number 3, even though I just said number 3 earlier. Episode 8 is my number 3. Sam and Henry's death is like my second favorite. And do I want to say episode 9 is my favorite because it is kind of fast paced? So no, I think I'll put episode 9 number 2 and Sam and Henry's death number 1. Even though I think I like the video games versions of them more, I felt like the way they went out and the story reasons why of like how impactful Henry killing Sam, the first person he ever killed is his brother, is really incredible. And like even how he was talking about how he had to give up someone else, like so perfect. Seeing the ramifications of that kind of being like a foreshadowing of Last of Us Part 2. But for my number 2 pick for being episode 9, I felt like the choice to like gradually build up to Joel's murdering spree and just seeing how who's the guy who created Last of Us? I know he wasn't the main one, but well, he pretty much the main one, but there was someone with him. But like, who's the main guy?
Neil Druckmann.
Yeah, kind of seeing how Neil Druckmann's like how he would have finished off the game, because he even talked about like, yo, you don't have to kill the nurses. So I was like, when he told them nurses to turn around, I was like, hey, yo, you gonna kill the nurses? Because I just remember only killing the doctor. So like, I know many people killed everyone in that room. But yeah, I felt like the way they did it and they made Joel Wick, I think that was really well done. I felt like that was a really big standout there, and I think they did a really great job of emulating Ellie's like final scene, and like Bella Ramsey yet again, like she killed that scene where she was all facial acting, where she was like confused, she didn't know what to say, but she just wanted to believe in him. So yeah, that's my ghetto top 6 pretty much. Of course, I think Ken is like right up there, like, but and I might be underrating episode 1 because they did a really great job with episode 1. But I felt like the top 3 was always going to be Sam and Henry, David, and the finale. For me personally.
Yeah, the one thing that's kind of like I think that is real sleeper about like episode 2, like, is the inclusion of the commercial clicker scene that got cut from the game.
Yeah,
that we never got to like see. Like, I thought that scene was like super sick.
I feel bad because Tess, the show really shows you how important Tess is to Joel. Like, of course, we got the scene where he tells Ellie, "Don't talk about Tess," but it's like the show confirms that they was romantically involved. Like, it was implied, it could have been left to interpretation, but like, the show just kind of shows how important it is, especially in episode 3 where he reads that letter and he's like, protect Tess. So like, it really does suck. Because imagine the alternate universe, someone even talk about, imagine the alternate universe if Tess lived. And like, how would she feel? Like, most people say that Tess would be disappointed in Joel's decision in murdering all those fireflies and actually saving Ellie. Hell, if Tess lived, most likely Ellie would have died, because at least Joel has Tess and someone that can console him. Not on the same level as Ellie would have, but I think Tess would have been able to stop Joel. Mm-hmm. But I think it's went on long enough. Again, this is a second channel episode, so we're experimenting. But tell me your top 5 Last of Us episodes of the show. Tell me what you think the show did better than the game, and what the game did better than the show. Please don't be very rude and distasteful bigots. Like, please, like the show's already had lesbian, gay, and all a bunch of like, just controversial things, even though I don't feel like they should be controversial in the original video game. So they stay very truthful to the show. There's no stuff they did where like a whole person's character was completely changed. Everyone's mostly the same, maybe except Sam, because he had like hearing problems. Other than that, it's still mostly the same characters. I feel like they really gave great love to the source material.
Yep, I agree. All right, thanks everybody for having me. I appreciate you, TJ, for having me on your second channel. Everybody, don't forget to leave a like, comment.
Yeah, like with my boy Kendall said, and let's try to get this video to like 15 likes, and we'll try to come back and do a 2023 review of Last of Us Part 2, because I feel like a lot of people are really appreciating the game now, and I feel like it's a good amount of time for us to talk about it. So yeah, SonTJ, peace, love you all.